Today's video, we're going to be talking about the one thing that every single person in the entire world is afraid of. And that is negative emotion. That's right. You fear negative emotion. Negative emotion terrifies you. You'll do absolutely anything in the world to avoid feeling negative emotion. You'll go and hide out in your comfortable dwelling. You'll avoid certain situations. You'll do anything possible to avoid feeling anything negative. The problem with that is you're letting that control your entire life. You're letting negative emotion, or the idea of, if I do this, I'm going to feel negative emotion, control your entire life. And the fact is, negative emotion is nothing to fear. In fact, it is merely just a feeling, and it's merely just an emotion. You can choose to focus on that emotion. You can choose to dwell on that emotion and dive into that emotion. And you can choose to avoid it at all costs, or you can choose to move into it. Or you can choose to look at the situation from a higher perspective and remove some of that negative emotion. But the fact of the matter is, the one thing that everybody in the world fears is negative emotion. It's not the situation. It's not a situation that someone fears. It's the negative emotion that comes from it. You see, if everything happened, this happened, that happened, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative based on our judgments. If everything happened, but we had no response to it whatsoever, we'd be completely fine. See, some things happen and some people don't care. Some things happen to others and people care. It's like, for instance, if you had someone in your family, if they passed away, that affects us greatly, right? That affects us a lot. That makes us feel sad. That makes us feel negative emotion. That's completely fine. However, someone in Spain, some random person, if they hear that your, person in your family passed away, they are not going to really feel any emotion at all, right? So why are they not feeling any emotion, but we are here feeling the emotion? You see, it just has to do with the perspective that you take on the situation. This person doesn't feel anything because they're detached from it. It's not their family. It's not them. They don't care. We feel negative emotion because we are attached to the outcome, and the outcome that happened was not something that pleased us. So we feel the negative emotion. Again, negative emotion is something that we're not too keen on. We don't like the feeling of it. But again, it cannot harm you. The negative emotion is simply a message letting you know that you're looking at this happening from a limited perspective. And the perspective is limiting and will not benefit you. That is all negative emotion is. That's it. It's a message. It cannot kill you. It cannot harm you. It cannot do anything. That's all an illusion in your mind. It's just the perspective that you're taking is not serving you. And that's it. So you can choose, again, to focus everything, all your attention on negative emotion and live life feeling negatively and thinking it's wrong or bad. That's totally fine. You can do that if you want to. But it's not going to benefit you. It's just not going to benefit you. And I promise you, it's much more fun to live life from a higher perspective, looking at things from a higher perspective. Then when you feel negative emotion, I shouldn't feel scared. This is no reason for me to fear emotion. I'm an emotional being. I produce emotions all the time. I feel all the time. None of these feelings have killed me. It's okay to feel that. And you can choose a perspective higher, and you can choose to see things from a much more fun, loving perspective. But the fact is, that's the reason that we have people that have drug addictions and all sorts of things, alcohol addictions, things like that, is because they're not willing to cope with negative emotion. They go to outside sources in order to calm the negative emotion, in order to feel better, because that's the goal, is to feel good, right? The goal is to not feel negative emotion. The goal is to be comfortable all the time. But the fact is, feeling comfortable all the time isn't what we came here to explore when we came to this physical reality. In the non-physical, in heaven, and whatever you want to call it, we feel happy all the time. We feel joy all the time. We feel abundant all the time. We feel worthy all the time. So to come here to this more physical world where things are a little more in your face, we came here to explore a little bit of that negative emotion. We came here to feel a little bit of that contrast. That's fun. That's all part of it. That's all part of expansion. But the idea is it's nothing to fear. It's just part of life. So here's an interesting perspective on things. What if instead of hiding from negative emotion, you chose to seek out negative emotion? Because after all, there's nothing to fear, right? It's just a feeling. It cannot harm you. It cannot hurt you. And the moment that you feel it is going to pass soon enough. So what if you actually went looking for negative emotion? What if you watched movies that made you feel really uncomfortable? What if you had uncomfortable conversations with your significant other, things that you've been putting off? What if you finally called the credit card company and, told them to stop calling you about debt creditors, or call them and told them you're going to pay off your debt? Whatever it is, whatever that thing that you're pushing off because you don't want to feel negative emotion. But again, if you seek out negative emotion, knowing that feeling it is actually a benefit for you because it's going to help you expand, it's going to help you grow. If you look at it from that perspective, there's nothing that you can't do. If you eliminate your fear of negative emotion entirely, you would be the most powerful person in the world. You would not fear negative emotion. You would never fear what anybody thought of you. You wouldn't fear anything, because all fear comes down to the negative emotion that you feel. Absence of negative emotion, absence of fear, and you are the most powerful person in the entire world. Now, is it possible to do that? Technically, yeah, it is. You could live your life without fear whatsoever, without negative emotion. But, okay, speaking on our behalf, it's going to be sometimes hard to do. So again, we're going to feel negative emotions sometimes, we're going to feel fear sometimes, but instead when we encounter that, I'm not really sure feeling, or I don't know if I should do that feeling, I don't know, but you should look at it, and instead of looking at it in that way, you should think to yourself, that feeling of I'm not really sure means that I'm absolutely sure. It means that yes, I should do this. It means that the highest part of yourself is speaking to you in a way which vibrates throughout every single cell in your body. And it's that feeling that you would call discomfort, you'd call negative emotion, but you should now call a feeling, an emotion, a signal from your inner self. And that inner self is telling you that you can do this, you should do this, and when you do it, you're going to feel instant exhilaration every single time. When you deny yourself the feeling of that exhilaration, it's because you chose to hide out in your comfortable dwelling. You decided to hide out in your comfort zone. And the truth is, your comfort zone is just a slow death. You're just kind of here blobbing around trying to be comfy. Why not step out of that comfort zone? Feel the negative emotion. Understand that the negative emotion can't hurt you. It's just pointing out that you're going to get through this. It's just pointing out a limiting belief, a limiting perspective. And by going through the situations causing you negative emotion, you're going to come out on the other side an expanded person. And that's the whole reason of coming here, is to feel expanded, is to expand in joy, is to expand in exhilaration, is to expand in excitement. So every single time you feel negative emotion about anything, and it's an action that you need to take, instead of saying, I don't know, look at that negative emotion as a feeling of, yes, I need to do this. Yes, I'm going to do this. Because at the end of the day, if you do that thing and it doesn't turn out the way that you thought it was going to turn out, guess what the result of that is going to be? Negative emotion. But guess what? You don't fear negative emotion anymore, because you know that it's just a feeling. It's just your inner self telling you you're looking at it from a limited perspective. So when you continue to choose high perspectives in every situation that happens to you every single time, maybe you failed at this. Failure doesn't really exist. It's an illusion, but maybe you failed at this. Maybe you didn't do this right. Maybe you didn't do that right. For everybody else, that's going to cause negative emotion. But for you, you're going to look at it from a higher perspective without negative emotion. And if you do feel it, you'll know that it's just a signal, and that's it. Live your life like this every day, and you will become the most powerful human being on the face of the earth. You're going to allow the law of attraction to work wonders in your life, and you're going to approach things from a standpoint of just fun, excitement, and exhilaration, because you no longer fear negative emotion. You're no longer scared of the result. You know you're here just to have a great time, to enjoy your life, to feel love, to feel excitement, and that's it. You're here to expand. So in those moments of fear, in those moments of negative emotion, embrace them. Look for them. Look for them every single day. Try it out a little bit. Maybe Say like, okay, today I'm going to do 3 things to purposely cause myself to feel fear, to feel that negative emotion. Like I said, an easy one is to put on a movie with like a lot of sexuality in it, a lot of violence in it, something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And when that feeling comes up, just embrace that feeling, because that's all it is a feeling. Happiness is a feeling, joy is a feeling. That uncomfortable is also a feeling, and it will not harm you or hurt you. Sit with that feeling for a little bit and realize that this is for your expansion. You're here to explore this feeling, and after you accomplish this, after the feeling passes, you're going to feel exhilaration. So try that 3 times a day. Write it down. What did you do today that made you feel uncomfortable? What did you do that made you step out of the comfort zone? Maybe you're at your friends at the bar and you go up in front of everybody and sing karaoke. Maybe you did that. Guess what? You can do it. This might cause some negative emotion. You might feel fear, but that's nothing to have you be afraid of anything. You're going to get through it and you're going to feel awesome. So I challenge you to do that. No longer fear negative emotion. Look at it at a beneficial perspective. Something that's going to serve you and help you expand, which is the entire reason why you are here in this reality.